All right, let's talk about OpenAI's new model, Codex 5.3. Now, on the surface, you might think, okay, another tool for writing code. But trust me, the reality is so much more interesting. This isn't just about making developers a little bit faster. Nope. This is about creating a fully autonomous engine for one of the biggest industries on the planet, finance. So, what does that actually look like? Well, let's dive in and find out. So, the story here kicks off with some serious industry drama. I mean, this quote from AI News just perfectly captures the moment. The entire AI world was watching this new model war unfold in real time. The very second Anthropic released its big new model, OpenAI just dropped this one. That is absolutely not a coincidence. It's a strategic shot across the bow, and it set the stage for a major, major showdown. And here they are, the two big contenders. In one corner, you've got Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6, a huge generational leap. And in the other, OpenAI's GPT 5.3 Codex. They literally dropped within minutes of each other, and you better believe it kicked off a frenzy of comparisons and benchmarks all over the industry. Everyone was trying to figure out, okay, who has the edge here? But let's move past the hype and the model-on-model smackdown for a second. What is Codex 5.3 really? Because everything you read about it makes one thing crystal clear. Calling it just another coding assistant completely misses the point. It's a fundamentally different kind of animal. The key idea, the real heart of Codex 5.3, is what the researchers are calling an agentic automation layer. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but the concept is actually pretty simple. Instead of just being one tool that writes code, think of it as an entire system, like a project manager, that brings all the different messy pieces of software development together into one single coordinated and intelligent layer. So what's actually in this automation layer? What does it do? Well, yeah, of course, it generates code, but it also analyzes the entire code repository. It hooks directly into your deployment pipelines, it audits for security holes, it writes the documentation for you, and it orchestrates the final rollout. It is way less of a single tool and more of what OpenAI itself is calling a command center for agents. Okay, so this is where things get really, really interesting. How does this kind of abstract tech actually make a difference in the real world? We're about to do a deep dive into the finance industry, because this is where that command center becomes something way more powerful, an autonomous finance machine. First up, deployment. You can see here that Codex has these built-in skills to just push applications out to cloud hosts like Cloudflare and Vercel. Now, for a bank or a fintech company, this is a game changer. It means they can spin up internal trading dashboards or new risk monitoring tools almost instantly. This radically speeds up how fast they can build things and cuts way down on their need for a huge, expensive DevOps team. And it doesn't stop there. Before anything even gets deployed, Codex is already at work. It can scan new code for bugs, check for any performance slowdowns, and keep a perfect, traceable log of every single change. In finance, that is absolutely critical. We're talking about preventing a tiny glitch that could crash a high-speed pricing engine, or just making sure every single change is traceable for the auditors. It basically becomes your automated pre-deployment risk control system. And then, of course, you've got the next layer, security. Codex can actively create a threat model for a new payment API, or go through smart contracts looking for vulnerabilities. For a financial firm, this isn't just a nice feature. It directly slashes their operational, cyber, and regulatory risk. It's literally like having a senior security reviewer embedded in your team working 24/7. And finally, we have documentation and compliance. I mean, think about this. Codex can take all of the engineering activity, all the code changes, the pull requests, the bug fixes, and automatically package it all up into audit-ready PDFs and weekly compliance reports. This just wipes out a massive manual headache and turns everyday development work directly into transparent, auditable proof of governance. Okay, so we've seen the individual skills, which are pretty impressive on their own, but the real magic happens when you start chaining them together. And Codex actually comes with built-in templates that create these incredibly powerful automated workflows specifically for the finance industry. Just take this first one, the weekly finance governance report. All right, put yourself in the shoes of someone on a risk committee. This template automatically summarizes all the code changes from the past week, it detects any performance issues, it updates the official changelog, and then it drafts a weekly update report for the committee. A process that used to take days of painful manual work is now just done automatically. Or how about this? Think about a big quantitative hedge fund.
The Quant strategy's safety pipeline is designed to protect their crown jewels, their trading algorithms. Before any new strategy can even think about going live, this workflow scans the code, benchmarks its performance, detects any risky changes in its dependencies, finds parts of the code that haven't been tested, and get this, it even opens a draft pull request to fix the issues it finds. It's a safety net for their most valuable assets.
And to round it out, you have the compliance monitoring loop. You can just schedule this thing to run on its own. It constantly checks for failures, summarizes changes, verifies database migrations, and drafts that all-important compliance-ready PDF. It basically puts being ready for a regulatory audit on complete autopilot.
So, with this much automation just taking over, you have to ask, what happens to the people? What happens to the humans working in finance? Well, the answer seems to be a profound, fundamental shift in the skills and roles that are actually valuable.
And this slide, wow, it just nails the shift. We're seeing professionals move from being manual operators, the people who spend all day staring at spreadsheets, to becoming automation architects. The value is no longer in doing the repetitive task yourself, but in designing, supervising, and orchestrating the automated systems that do the work for you. So what does this new toolkit of skills actually look like? Well, it starts with prompt orchestration, being able to effectively tell these AI agents what to do. You're going to need at least a basic literacy in how code repositories and deployment pipelines work. But honestly, the most important thing is a completely new way of thinking, an automation-first mindset that is laser-focused on managing risk.
Okay, let's zoom out and pull all of these threads together because we need to understand the true significance of what we're looking at here. What is the real takeaway from the release of Codex 5.3?
Because if you walk away from this thinking this is just a way to make developers more productive, you've missed the entire point. What all the research makes clear is that this is something else entirely. It's not a tool you use. It's a system you build on top of. It's an autonomous control layer for financial engineering. Just let that sink in for a second. A system that integrates your code, your risk management, your compliance, your reporting, and your deployment into a single, orchestrated, and largely self-governing process. This is the new foundation. So let's just recap what this new control layer really unlocks. You get continuous validation of financial models. You get automated governance over risk. You get autonomous deployment of new tools. You get transparency that is audit-ready from day one. And you get dramatically faster iteration of new financial products. The whole shebang. And all of this leaves us with one final and pretty provocative question to chew on. In a world where the core functions of managing risk, ensuring regulatory compliance, and deploying software can essentially run themselves, what really is left for us to control?